up, you guys? This is Rob from PSFOREPLAYERS, and today on the Daily Grind, we're going to be tackling the first installment of the 75k Q&A. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I actually went through all of your questions, and I started kind of like compounding them and putting them together with other people's questions, because a lot of the times, everybody was kind of like asking the exact same things, but in slightly different ways, so I had to rewrite some of them, and I didn't really want to like not address some of them out there. However, as I kind of went through the list, I was like, Rob, you talk a lot, and if you were to take on all of these questions, this video would be like 3 hours long. So I figured I would go ahead and break them into a couple different installments. Right now I'm looking at about 3, there might be 4, we'll see about that, but I figured we would just go ahead and jump on in. And by the way, each like subsection of questions is a little bit thematic, so I feel like we'll get a good little chunk of info today on specific topics. However, I'm gonna start everything off with a little bit of house cleaning, housekeeping. Because some questions just didn't fit, and I figured we'll start things off with a little bit of a warm-up. So, as we've always done with our Q&As, because people just, I don't know why, I mean, it's all in the name, but Rubilly asks, are you actually gay? Yes, I am. I am very much gay. Now, in previous incarnations of Rob, because Rob has evolved kind of like a Pokemon, and legitimately in previous incarnations, honestly, I've been more cutthroat about answering that question, and I know that some people like roll their eyes at that question, you know, are you actually gay? But I think it kind of goes to show that there's still parts of our culture, or still parts of the world, that maybe have not been exposed to homosexuality, and definitely not on a video game platform. There, like, a lot of times we might catch like a character in a video game, or we might catch, you know, someone passing in the background. You're like, oh, that's what gay is, but sometimes you don't see them like front and center. So let's not be aggressive towards these kind of questions, as long as they don't get aggressive back. If they're just asking if I'm gay, yes, I'm gay, and I'm proud, and I'm happy, hell yes, on all levels. All levels of gay, not just the happy kind, but, you know, in the pants kind, too. Austin Barton asks, am I having a good day today? I'm having an okay day today. I don't know what it is. The weather out here is a little bit sad and dreary, and I'm looking at Warframe right now, and I'm trying to figure out what exactly it is that I want to do for it. So right now it's like, it feels like we're in a little bit of a haze in the Warframe development cycle, and I feel like I'm in a little bit of a haze because I need to go take out the trash, and the weather is really, really crappy. But other than that, I have all of my arms and legs. I am healthy. I am happy. So yeah, it's a good day today, and I think that we need to kind of like think about that. Like, sometimes a lot of people look at the small parts of their day and they're like, oh my god, that totally ruined my day, like they didn't get my order right at the restaurant, or this person didn't call me in time. I was like, yeah, but you know, you don't have cancer, and you have all of your limbs, and so you should probably, you know, kind of tone it down with the first world problems. Don't be so angry about all of those little things. You know, whenever somebody gets really, really upset about a nerf in Warframe, I'm like, you know, but all your family is like healthy around you, right? You paid your rent on time, right? Like, you got a house over your head, you were able to have lunch, because some people out there were not even able to have that, and you're pissed off because, you know, what is it, like the Pandero took like a 5% nerf in its status chance. Let's reel it in, because it's really not that serious. Now Herman Wong asked me how long have I played Warframe, and it has been a goddamn long time. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look real quick. I might have to do a jump cut right here, because I'm actually going to jump into my emails. I'm going to look for the Warframe, like, email thing and figure out what my Warframe birthday is, because I forgot it. But I do feel like it's in May or March, something along those lines, so give me a sec. So I've actually gone ahead and dug it up in my emails, and oh my god, that was a process. So I don't know if it's still the same these days, or it might be a little bit different. However, if you're an old timer like me, just look up Warframe activation in your emails, see if it's still there. Mine was sent to me on June 8th. 2013. Oh my god, so it's not quite 5 years yet, but it will be 5 years in about 3 months. That is fucking crazy. That is absolutely nuts. Now, to kind of go along with that, Just a Body asks, were you referring to 5K playtime in your profile or on Steam? Now, I only ever go by my in-mission time, which is available in-game. So it's whatever your profile says in-game, that is strictly in-mission. It does not count the time that you're in your orbiter. It does not count the time that you are, you know, just running around on the relays or anything like that. So be very aware of that. Now, of course, I spend a lot of time fashion framing. I do a lot of things, you know, with Riven re-rolling. There's a lot of time that's not spent in mission. And here's the thing. I don't open up my Warframe through Steam. I don't really know what it is. I feel like I don't want to open it through another app. I just want to kind of have it in its own, just like, isolated thing. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that only play Warframe as a standalone instead of through Steam as well. So I always kind of laugh. You know how they were always getting, what do you call this, talked about on the Steam charts, and oh, how we rank in the Steam charts, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. Well, the thing is, we have a player base on the Steam chart that keeps us like within the top 15, top 10 a lot of the times, but if you count all of the other people that also play Warframe that don't use Steam, I think that our numbers would be a lot bigger. It's absolutely nuts. So I always calculate it through in-game hours played, so you'll have to give me some extra leeway. Maybe, you know, maybe give me like an extra 500 hours, like, you know, fashion framing. I'm not 100% sure, but you know, just keep that in mind. Plus the thing is, I don't like going by Steam time because there's so many times, and don't lie to yourselves, y'all have fallen asleep either at the computer before, or you said, I'm just gonna go lay down and rest my eyes for a minute, and then you crash for the night and you leave your computer running on all night, and Warframe is just ticking out those hours on the Steam clock. That's why I don't believe in the Steam clock, because I'm like, at least this is indicative of how much time I've actually spent playing the game, as opposed to how much time I've spent, you know, asleep, falling asleep editing the game, or something along those lines. Now, continuing in with the, what do you call this, with the housekeeping, Ryan Angelo Bond asks me about universal glyph codes, and if I'm ever gonna get them. Now, the answer to that is a simple, straightforward no. And the reason that I keep it like that is, for me, it's very important for me to be able to control who gets my glyphs and whatnot. I'm very family oriented, and I kind of look at this YouTube community as a family, and I always look at the Twitch community as a family as well. And I don't really like just handing out things. Like, a part of me is kind of like, this is a club. Like, you gotta, you know, you gotta show up to the club to become a regular at the club. You can't just like show up one day and boom, you get treated like family. It's kind of like one of those, like, I understand that there are lots of people that haven't been able to get their hands on them, and I'm going to try to do a little bit more on the YouTube end of the spectrum, because Twitch, it's easy. Like, you come through and you like jump in on one of the giveaways, or you earn your gherkins, because we have for those of you, okay, I'm really surprised at this. Some people don't know that gherkins are pickles. Some people think that gherkins are like, I don't know what the hell they think gherkins are pickles, y'all. So when you come to my stream, you earn pickles. And you can use those pickles to cash in, to go ahead and get yourself a glyph, just one. We keep track. We have a list of names. But no, legitimately, that's kind of like the way that I like doing it, because I find that the universal codes end up in places that I don't want them to. I don't want a universal code to end up on Reddit to just be like passed out to a bunch of strangers who have no clue who I am, but are just like, oh, that looks cool, I want to have that. And I'm like, I made that with my own 2 hands. That's like my brain. I didn't pay someone to make it. You know, this was like something that I spent my hard work. Like, I'm built from the ground up by myself. I didn't ride on anyone's coattails. I didn't everything I did was off of my own back. I worked my butt off to get where I am. And so it's like, for me, my glyph is like, and don't get me wrong, I love seeing it, and maybe I'll do that for TennoCon. Maybe I'll give out some glyphs at TennoCon. That would be fun. Anyway, I get really excited I have all these ideas in my head and get really excited in the middle of them. But yeah, so there will never be a universal code. I just really like rewarding the people who are consistently on it, you know, hashtag notification squad. Everybody that tries to jump on it And you never know, maybe there'll be a secret in one of these 75k Q&A videos that might lead you to some glyphs at some point. But right now, the answer for universal glyph codes, no, never. I haven't even considered it. In meetings where we talk about universal glyph codes, my first thing is never. I will never ever opt in. So just be aware of that. All right. The last kind of like housekeeping question is, my question is whether you've ever played on PS4 or strictly on PC. So currently I play strictly on PC, and I'm gonna tell y'all right now. So I got a nice little present for Valentine's Day, and I got a PS4, and I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter with it, and I've been like obsessed and loved. Alright, I've also been playing a little bit of Final Fantasy 15 now that it came to PC, but I've been playing it on the PS4 controller. And I'm gonna be completely fucking honest with y'all. Just that alone, just Final Fantasy 15 and Monster Hunter, I don't fucking know how anyone would play Warframe on a controller. Like, they're so, like, my hands are constantly, like, doing, like, fucking acrobatics on the keyboard. So I don't even understand, like, my heart goes out to all y'all console players. I don't know where your keybinds go. I don't know how your keybinds happen, but DE's working some magic, and, you know, y'all are miracle workers for making that shit work. I, however, as you know, I rate my technical skill somewhere about a 6 or a 7 in Warframe. My mechanical skill, much higher than that. But 6 or 7 for technical skill, I think I'm good. I'm not great, but I'm solid. But you give me a controller, my technical skill goes down to like a 2. I can barely shoot at things. I can move. I can walk. I don't know how the fuck I'd bullet jump, but serious to God, I don't think that I would ever play Warframe on console. So that's definitely not something that you'll see. You might see me play other games on consoles, but it's not gonna be a Warframe thing, unfortunately. Now let's go ahead and jump into the nitty-gritty. A lot of people, and this is gonna be the theme of today's kind of like Q&A, is okay, Luke Reich, Darren Taylor, and Olsen and Swirls. Why y'all gotta hurt me with these screen names though? What is your dream theme for a Warframe? A lot of people wanted to know what my dream theme was, and if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I don't really have a specific theme that I'm attached to. I know that some people are really into like plant themes, some people are into spider themes, some people are into like vampire themes, like, you know, like all of those things. I don't really have an attachment to any specific theme. Like I was thinking Shadow Knight a while back, but they almost kind of covered that in a tongue-in-cheek style with Inaros. Like, Inaros is kind of like, you know, the one who leeches the life off of things. He's kind of like the undead guy, very, very tanky. And I thought that was a creative way of handling the Shadow Knight version. Cause here's the thing, we had like the Paladin version, which they said was Oberon, right? And they were like Paladin / Druid, right? And then so of course we have Inaros, who kind of like, cause here's the thing, like whenever you play a Shadow Knight in a video game, they can always kind of bring some dead back to life. So when he had like the sand creatures, I was like, it's like their version of skeletons, right? Cause you know, Shadow Knights always run around with like a little skeleton squire, right? And I was like, okay, so they got the skeletons covered right there, and then he does the finishers to leech life off of enemies. He's really tanky. I'm like, okay, I see how it is. That's like their Shadow Knight version. That was the only thing that I was kind of attached to, but theme-wise, nothing specific. However, that doesn't mean that I haven't concocted certain Warframes out of themes that I thought were kind of cool, which leads us to our next question. You get to decide, okay, Brandon Lee Cross, The Frozen Key, and Christopher Collins, and I just literally snatched this off of someone. You get to design a Warframe that DE adds to the game. What is the theme? What roles does it fill in squad? So on and so forth. So this is something, I've got a million concepts that I've really been playing around with. There are two very, very strong concepts that I've kind of like had in my brain for a while. I'll talk about one today because one's a little bit more, I'll talk about both of them. Why not? So the first one, I've stated this one on stream several times already. I wanted a combo-based Warframe. and I know it sounds weird. You're like, what is that? What's a combo-based Warframe? But I wanted a Warframe with highly synergistic abilities to the point where the ultimate is not necessarily this big, crazy AoE ability, you know, because like a lot of the Warframes, it's very much like, ooh, a crazy big AoE damage or an AoE CC or like some group like heal or something like that. You know, all of the Warframes have something along those lines. And I was like, wouldn't it be great if the ultimate didn't really do anything unless you used it in conjunction with the rest of the abilities? So the thing that I was really kind of playing around with was almost a samurai / Ronin based Warframe, and I thought of kind of like how, number one, of course, in the old cultures, they had weapons, and they were very, very attached to those weapons. They said that there were spirits trapped in their swords, and that was really like, that to me kind of like resonated. I was like, ooh, and you know, I always played the old Final Fantasy games where they'd have the samurai and then he would have the blade and he would, like, the souls would eject from the blade. I was like, okay, such a cool theme. So like a spiritual blade. So what I wanted to do with them is have a couple different abilities, and I haven't fleshed it out completely, but I thought it was kind of cool. So like the first ability would be a simple like sword slash, right? You know, like maybe almost kind of like a slash dash where you dash forward. However, you can chain them together to continue to do different moves. So maybe the first one would be a dash, the next one would be a cleave, the next one would be a 360. However, one of the ones that I wanted to do was, in those sword dashes or whatever, you would then use the ultimate at any point after using a slash. Or the first ability, you would use the ultimate, and the ultimate would have him perform like a big crazy AoE cleave that would disarm enemies in a small radius. So it wouldn't necessarily be like Loki's radial disarm, but like to the level of like, you know, he'd be able to hit multiple enemies, deal damage to them, and also disarm them. I thought that was really cool. Another ability that I wanted to go ahead and mix into the batch was a spear. Like, I thought it would be cool if they kind of like pulled out a big old polearm and they like chucked it at an enemy, piercing an enemy, holding them in place. And then they'd be able to lay down multiple of those spears, just so that you guys are aware. And then after they would use their ultimate, the spears would then shatter, deal AoE damage, knocking down all surrounding enemies, and maybe like putting on some slash, something along those lines. So basically what it is you would use an ability, then you would use the ultimate to trigger another part of that ability, so like an upgraded version of that ability. And I found that to be really, really cool. The way that I would want this character would be a little bit more of like a brawler style, not as tanky as Valkyrie, but still being able to take some hits. Of course, his abilities would move in tune with that. I actually wanted to do kind of almost like a samurai armor kit with them, where they would, you know, they would just use it on its own. You know, their first ability would be to use their tankiness on their own, and maybe get something like increased health regen or something along those lines. Like I said, I haven't fully fleshed it out, but the upgraded version of that, when you use the ultimate to follow it up, it would actually pull in enemies, and for every enemy that you pulled in, you would gain bonus armor or bonus damage reduction, something along those lines. But I wanted this to be really, really tanky, but also very combo based. So you wanted to use the ultimate after each ability, and you would give these kind of like boosts to the character themselves, like a steroid effect. So that one I thought was really, really cool. And then an older version, a really, really old one, and you'll actually, if you check back on my old Q&As, I actually have answered this before, but I also wanted kind of like a shadow-based Warframe. And I know we have like invisibility Warframes, we already have like Ashe and like Loki and Octavia, but what I kind of wanted to do was to almost make like a Wraith kind of Warframe. A Warframe that was about being cloaked in darkness and shadow, almost kind of like working along the lines of Banshee, but like the visual version of Banshee. Does that sound weird? It's kind of like, you know how Banshee is all about negating sound and giving her team buffs against the enemies, you know, doing all, you know, giving us offensive buffs. So what I wanted to do was kind of like the other way around. You would have this kind of like Wraith version, which could go invisible, you know, all of that kind of stuff, but also could use their abilities to blind enemies. So enemies would not be able to detect you through sight. They would, however, be able to detect you through sound. So I wanted like accuracy debuffs, I wanted armor stripping, you know, because who doesn't want armor stripping? Come on, everybody wants armor stripping. But maybe some confusion in there where they might attack their allies. But one of the abilities that I thought was really, really cool would be this kind of like possession ability, where you would jump into an enemy, you would possess them, they wouldn't be able to attack, they wouldn't be able to do any of that, but you'd slowly deal damage over time to them. However, when you emerged from that enemy, you could either emerge from that enemy and stagger all surrounding enemies, opening them up to melee finishers, or you would be able to target another enemy and jump into that enemy. So it's almost kind of like your energy would be ticking down, you know, because you're dealing damage to this whatever you're in. And you could steer them around, so you'd steer them around to the next enemy. You jump into the next enemy, and then you can continue to steer them around. You know, kind of like all of that. However, if this enemy, like, takes damage or dies, all that kind of stuff, you end up popping out and you do the AoE stagger. I thought that was a really, really cool concept. I had a whole list of this in a previous video, which I think was in one of the old Q&As, so if I can find it, I'll link to that, but you know that I'm lazy and I probably won't. But yeah, so I wanted something like that, and to really, really focus on enemy debuffs, more along the lines of stripping their defenses, making them difficult to shoot you, because one of the things that DE doesn't play around with very much, but did play around with Titania, is accuracy debuffs. And I was like, that's a really cool thought, because really the only place we see that is with Titania's accuracy debuff. I think a while back when Zephyr had her first iteration of Turbulence, there was accuracy debuffs in there as well. And then I believe it's EMP Aura. I'm pretty sure it's EMP Aura that makes Corpus units lose accuracy. So I'm like, okay, what if we can fiddle around with another statistic that we normally don't fiddle with, you know? So I'm thinking, you know, accuracy debuffs and armor stripping. I think that would be really cool, and have like a cool Wraith form, all that kind of stuff. Moving along, Ian F126 asks, you get to create a weapon. What would it be? How would it function? And what sort of stats would it have? Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm still not giving up on my dream. A while back in a previous Q&A, I was asked this exact same question. And I said something along the lines of, I wanted a motherfucking bone launcher. I wanted like some sort of like infested sniper rifle or an infested bow. Now, when they previewed, you know, the Mutalisk Ceranos, the Ceranos Mutalisk, whatever it's called, I was like, oh my god, here it is! We're gonna get our infested bow, and it's gonna, like, I'm ready! I'm so fucking ready! And there were no bones in sight. Really, the whole thought process was, I want to be able to pull out, like, fucking, like, spines or, like, these monstrous, like, infested quills and impale them into enemies. I really, like I said back then, really just want to impale things with bones, okay? I don't know why, but it's so visceral and the thought of it is so cool. So, you know, we'll change that around a little bit. What if we could have some sort of infested sniper rifle that was kind of like a Stilla-like, all right? A little bit of Stilla-like. You know how the Astilla has those, like, shattering bits? I'm thinking maybe we get an infested sniper rifle, little bit crit based, little bit status based, right? And like smacks into an enemy, and if they die, the fucking bone that you use to shatter them with shatters in bits and pieces and just does AoE damage to enemies. That's what I would like. I really just want to launch bones at things. It would make me the happiest in the world. Oh my god, what if we could have an infested bone fan and you're like, and it's just fucking bones? I don't know what it is. I know it's me and bones. Maybe it's something subconscious. Okay, let's move on. Sterling Shockley, do you have a guilty pleasure weapon or Warframe, something that isn't thought of as good, but you enjoy its aesthetics or mechanics? I'm gonna be honest with you. So I don't really have guilty pleasure weapons, cause like weapons that are truly bad, I don't know, I just lose my taste for them. Like there's just like, you will never, okay, I can't say never. I can't say never because it's bitten me in the butt before. But I was never a fan of like the Hind. I will never rock the Hind. Other people always make a joke about the Seer. I'm not gonna rock the Seer. Like, I don't have guilty pleasure weapons per se, but there are weapons that I understand to be not as powerful. You know what I mean? That I still rock. And the thing about it is, the way that I think about weapons is, if they still get the job done, I'm still gonna use them. So it's not about I need the high-end best of the best of the best. Like, I know what the high-end best of the best of the best is. I have all the builds for them. I made those builds ages ago. I fucking rocked those builds and I showed y'all those builds. Like, we're rocking that shit on like day one. Y'all catch it. But for me, I think what my great joy is just like, I like weapons with cool mechanics that still get the job done. You know, like I think one of the more recent ones is the set of fans. Oh my god, is it? Oh, it starts with a G. The Gunson. I got it. Pulled it out of the old man bank. But legitimately, the Gunson. I love the Gunson, and it does get the job done. But it does something that I think is kind of what's the word I want to use? It's not efficient, but I like it. Literally, why does every combo end with? Every combo is like, whoosh. Every combo is like, whoosh. It's like every fucking slice. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It's like you just fan it. Like, are you that hot? I didn't think that Warframes could feel heat. Like, I didn't think that was a thing. But the Gunson is one of those ones that I'm like, sis, you are doing too much. You are doing too much, but I will love you for it. Whips, I think, are another thing that I really, really enjoy. Like I always say, it wouldn't be like a Rob rundown. It wouldn't be Gay Guy Plays without some whips. And legitimately, for me, I really, really like whips. The Atarax is one, but the Atarax has just become so... It's like so overdone, and it's one of those like really boring meta weapons. It's kind of like if you want to bore yourself and not have a good time, here's the Atarax, and here is this OP, like, you know, build that you can use if you just want to run through things and not have a great day. And here's the thing, don't get me wrong, some people love their Maiming Strike Ataraxes, whatever they want to do with it. Listen, it's your game, you play the way that you want to play. But me personally, I'm like, I've seen the build, I've played the build, I'm done with the build, I've moved on. But whips in general, I still really do like the moveset. Like I've always said, there's one in Coiling Viper. I believe it's Coiling Viper. It's one of those ones where you literally launch your ass at enemies. And I love that kind of shit. I love all of the weird little things that are out there. Now, as for guns, I don't really think that there's any gun. I mean, I guess some people would kind of say like along the lines of the HEMA, but the HEMA throws down. Like, I will vouch for the HEMA day in and day out. That is like my baby. Like, if you've never seen the HEMA in action, it is worth like, to this day, everybody was calling me a shill about the HEMA way back. They're like, you're just saying it's really good because you're trying to defend the fact that it costs so many resources. I'm like, nah, bitch. It's good. You can kill 155s with one mod missing. It's good. It's real good. But, you know, people wanted to read me and people wanted to say all these things. To this day, it's like, I don't like infested designs very much, but when I'm like, but you're so cute though, then that should tell you something about the weapon. It's a very good one. I think that's it when it comes to guilty pleasures. I don't really find anything else to be guilty pleasure because everything serves a purpose and I kind of like dicking around with things and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Alright, I've blabbed on way too long about that question. But Rio Kahayadi, listen, I'm not a winner when it comes to names, okay? I'm not a winner. I'm very sorry. But they asked, if there are two weapons laying around, one really beautiful in design with unique mechanics, but its damage is on the lower end of the spectrum, and the other one is just straightforward mechanic, basic design, but its damage is very high, which one would I pick? Now, this is going to kind of go against what I said. The question is, the first weapon that's beautiful and has unique mechanics, number one, are those unique mechanics usable? Or are they unique mechanics that are like, ooh, that's different, that's weird, but I would not get down with using that on a daily basis? And they said the damage on the lower end of the spectrum. I might pull that weapon out for like fun and games during low-level play, but to me, a weapon's got to be able to kill things. Oh, this Mogamu. Sorry, Mogamu. I'll talk to you in a minute. But no, legitimately, a weapon's got to be able to kill things. And for me, hey, hold on. Oh, calm down, Mogamu. But legitimately, I feel like a weapon isn't a weapon unless it can do some killing. So for me, it's kind of like, it just depends on how bad that first weapon is, right? Like me in general, I would be like, oh, it's a pretty weapon. But you know, you haven't seen me using the Axomati anytime recently. Really, really pretty weapon. Really pretty weapon. But you know, there are other weapons that are just as pretty, if not prettier. And they actually get the job done. Not that the Axomati doesn't get the job done. It gets the job done, like, on the star chart. It wrecks. But, like, later on, you need very specific things to help it out, okay? Anyway, so I would pick the one that is a little bit more straightforward in looks and just, you know, not too complicated with mechanics. And I think that goes back to the fact that some days I just like tossing on like the Axolettos or like a Tenora or like a Zenith. Something simple, nothing too crazy. Just like, if I'm just trying to like have a good rest of my night and not really stress out too much, I'm gonna go with that, you know? Because sometimes simplicity, sometimes straightforwardness is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be straight, okay? Forward. So the last question, as you guys know, I feel like I've blabbed on for way too long already, but I want you guys to answer this one too, and I think this is a really interesting question, and that's why I wanted to save this one for last, and I haven't actually thought about this either. I haven't thought about it, so I'm gonna have to come up with it on the fly, but Insanius, is that how it goes? Insanius asks, you only get access to 3 frames, 3 primaries, 3 secondaries, and 3 melee for the rest of your time in this game. Given the current balance in the game and acknowledging that everyone has their own personal taste, what would your choices be? I literally had so much anxiety when I read this question, and I was like, I'm literally not gonna think about it until this moment now. So I want you guys to go down into the comments below and let me know what your 3s would be. Alright, so of course, Loki's gonna be there for me. Loki can pretty much do anything and be anything that is needed, right? I need to have a little bit of fun, so I think I'm gonna go with Octavia, and she can go 2 hours in a survival, no problem. No problems whatsoever. So that leaves me my last third. And I really don't freaking know what this last one would be. So I'm gonna hold off. So I've got two in the Warframes. So when it comes to primaries, I definitely think that the Dread is gonna be in there. The Dread has really good like late game escalating properties. It's got great ability to deal critical damage and do slashing damage. So that's always good. Shoot, the Hema, because it's my baby. Never gonna let it go. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna abandon you. Let's move on to secondaries. So that's 2. So I'm leaving gaps. I'm leaving like 1 gap because I don't really know what the last one's gonna be. Let's move on to secondaries. So secondaries would definitely be along the lines of, this one's gonna be a lot easier because I feel like there's a lot of secondaries for me to choose from that I have like love affairs with. So that would definitely be the Axoletto, the Lato Prime, and the Euphona Prime. That one was the easiest. So I think those are all primes. The Axoletto Prime, the Lato Prime, and the Euphona Prime. Those are my go-tos. Now for melee weapons, this one's a little bit tougher because I have a lot of favorites. And a lot of these, how do I put this? A lot of these are just work well. There's so many good melee weapons out there. So I think that I would probably end up going with Glaive Prime, because that's, you know, it's cool, it's different, it's a throwing weapon. I would probably go with a Za. So like a Za polearm. I'd probably go along the lines with a Za polearm, mainly because of the fact that you could do so many things with them, and I would probably go with like the Plague, the Plague Scythe Head. You know the one that's like it's Kiwar, I think, Plague Kiwar with the Plague Bokwin, and I'd probably rock the Jai 2 on there. So that's that, and then the last melee. Ooh, the last melee is gonna be hard. I kind of want to go with the Zenith. But then again, okay, I like the Zenith. I was gonna say Zenistar because it has a lot of utility to it, but I don't actually like the Zenistar because I feel like it's cheap and not really a melee weapon. If I'm gonna be frank with you, I'm like, a lot of the times you throw the Zenistar down just to do certain things. It's not necessarily you use it as a melee weapon, you know? It's like, I'm gonna throw it down and I'm gonna put on my guns. But the only thing about it is, it's such utility, and it takes down fucking nullifier bubbles, which I absolutely love about it. So I might almost say Zenistar just for that fact, just because it's so unique and so different. But then again, it is kind of like bullshitty. It's kind of like a big sack of shit, if I'm gonna be honest with you. So I'm a shitty human being. Let's go with Zenistar. Listen, this is a hard question. It's a hard question because I'm thinking in my head Destreza. I'm thinking in my head the Gunson. I'm thinking in my head the what do you call this? Oh my god, is it this? Oh my god, the Sigma and Octantis, whatever it's called. Like, I was thinking those ones. I was like, those are unique, those are different, those are fun. But I think that if we're just talking about the balance and the meta of the game, the first two got me covered. I can kill a lot with just those first two. So I guess I'll go with safe Zenistar because it's different. Now we got to go back into Warframes though. Now we got to go back into Warframes, and I think the last one that I would have to go with is Oberon. We've been doing a lot of playing with Oberon, and he was my favorite Warframe of 2017. But I think I might end up going with him because he's a good all-around frame. We've used him extremely successfully in Eidolons. He's fantastic for that. He's great support. He can heal people. He can do some survivals. Like, I think that he's good for that. I think the first two frames that I've got have a lot of utility and have a lot of damage out potential. So I'm thinking that maybe we'll get in Oberon as kind of like the I would say maybe not the king of all trades, but pretty close. He's good at what he does. And then the last primary that I will go with, fuck my life. Fuck my life, you guys. I'm thinking maybe the Tenora. The Tenora is pretty goddamn good overall. It's got like a charge up mode, so if you need something with crits, you can do that. But the Zenith is good too. Ooh, this is hard, you guys. This is really hard. I'm gonna pop into game real quick for 1 second. You might actually hear it in the background because it is up, and I do need to take a look at it. But we already have the Dread. We already have the Dread. We already have the Hema, and the only other thing that I could think of, oh, but a shotgun would be good too. I could say Tigris Prime and be an absolute piece of shit. But let's just go with fuck my life. Fuck my life. It's gonna be a shotgun. I've decided that it's gonna be a shotgun, and I think that the shotgun might be... Let's go with... Let's go with... Oh my god, you guys, I can't decide. It's really a three-way tie. So, here's the thing. I'm gonna let you guys decide, like, whatever it can be. Help me decide on what this last one is gonna be. It's either gonna be the Archoplasmor, it's gonna be the Corinth, or the Strun Wraith. It's not gonna be the Tigris Prime, because it's just too... Like, I get it, it's powerful, it's fantastic, it's amazing, but, like... But I do like shotguns. I do like shotguns, so help me. Leave it in the comments below. I want to know what your threes are going to be down there. So my official threes are going to be Loki, Octavia, Oberon. Primaries, it's going to be Dread, Hema, and then whatever that last shotgun is going to be that you guys get to chime in on in the comments below. Secondaries, it's Lado Prime, Euphota Prime, and oh my god, I forgot the Mara Detron. Shit. Wait, Lado Prime, Euphona Prime, and what was the other one that I said? Axolotl Prime? Shit, something's gotta go. Oh, Mara Detron, I can't do this to you. Oh, well, what's done is done. And melee is gonna be Glaive Prime, oh shit, how quickly I forget Zenistar and the Za. So, the Za polearm. So go ahead and leave your feelings below. I want to know what your 3 3s and 3s are. Or is it 3 3, 3, and 3s down in the comments below. That does it for this installment of the 75K Q&A. Keep an eye out for future ones to come because there are a lot of questions like, how do you feel DE is doing with Warframe? Can you give us an office tour? Go ahead and stick around for the future ones, but you leave your feelings in the comments below. And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I gotta go gamu. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.